Cover crops amend soil, add nutrients and tilth, help suppress weeds, help with erosion. Some of them help break up clay soil, and there's a few that are even really good to help with root knot nematodes, and there are several that are even edible. I'm going to show you some of my favorites and how we use them and where we use them. In our orchard, we grow white clover. We like this because it helps fix the nitrogen in the soil, it helps with soil erosion, and it actually makes the orchard a little bit cooler. It has the added benefit of when we let the chickens out, they're able to munch on the leaves and the flowers, plus the bees really like the flowers as well, so it's a great pollinator-friendly cover crop. This is not something that you'd want to grow in your vegetable garden because it is a perennial and it can become very tenacious and weedy and hard to get rid of. So an option for that is the crimson clover. So you'll grow it in the fall time, let it overwinter, cut it down. You can even harvest the blossoms off of it, which have a great health benefit for humans and animals alike, and then turn it into the soil, and then you're ready for your spring crops. You've got nitrogen in the soil, it's added tilth, it's an excellent crop to be planting in the fall. You may already be growing cover crops in your garden without even realizing it. Beans and peas are excellent nitrogen fixers for the soil. They store the nitrogen in their roots, so at the end of the season, you can just chop these down, leave the roots in the ground, and plant the new crop, and they're ready for nitrogen-loving plants, such as maybe lettuces and chards and spinaches. Another really good nitrogen fixer is broad beans, also known as fava beans. They're a nice large seed, so they're super easy to plant. You can harvest a crop off of them, generally in the springtime, not in the fall though. But regardless, they're great for growing in the fall for a cover crop. They have a nice deep root, so that helps bring in the nutrients from the subsoil to the topsoil. They also help break up the clay soil in this process. Some of my favorite fall edible cover crops are actually not what you would think they would be. So I'll start planting arugula. This is super cold hardy. It comes up really quick. I get to eat it through the winter time, and then come mid-spring, I'll till this into the soil, and then it's basically a green manure for the soil. So it adds tilth to it and adds nutrients. So arugula is an excellent option for a cover crop. If you want a cover crop to help suppress weeds, then buckwheat is excellent for that. It grows really quick, and that helps smother out the weeds, and it shades out the weed seeds, and it makes it so they don't germinate. The seeds of buckwheat are fairly large, making it fairly easy to sow. Sow them thickly when using for weed suppression. Buckwheat is easy to grow even in the worst of soils. Buckwheat is an excellent cover crop that helps retrieve phosphorus and macronutrients, which is excellent for the crops that come after planting buckwheat. Once buckwheat starts to bloom, it's time for chop and drop. Chop it down, leave it in the area, let it decompose, and then you'll be ready for a crop in just a couple of weeks to plant again. More edibles are mustards. That's one that we don't generally think of. We find them just in these regular seed packets, so we don't see that they say cover crops, so we don't think of them as that. But these are great for bringing up the nutrients like fava beans from the subsoil to the topsoil. They're so deep rooted, they'll help with that as well as help break up clay soil. And there again, they're edibles. Another benefit of growing mustard greens as a cover crop is when you dig them into the soil, they release a chemical that fumigates the soil that helps dramatically reduce the population of root knot nematodes. Like arugula, another really tasty green to be growing as a cover crop / green manure is mache. This is excellent. If you haven't grown it, I suggest you give it a shot. It loves cold weather. It's hardy down to -5, and once you're done with it, you just till it into the soil, and it helps with the tilth of it. It helps bring up nutrients, and it's great to just use as a cover crop to protect your soil during the winter months. If you aren't growing a fall garden, then definitely get a fall cover crop in. Cover crops are so helpful during the winter time to keep the sun from baking the soil, from the wind blowing it away, erosion, and then you have something to work back into your soil in the springtime when you're ready to plant. There's so many choices of cover crops that you can be planting in the fall. A couple of my favorites are the soil builder, peas and oats. That's excellent because it fixes nitrogen, adds tilth and nutrients, breaks up soil. And then hairy vetch is another really good fall cover crop. It's a legume, so it fixes nitrogen, and then it just helps with that soil, protecting it during the winter months. Whatever cover crop you pick, it's going to be beneficial to your garden. It's certainly better than leaving it blank. So till next time, we'll see ya. Oh, old kitty cat, we're never gonna have any cover crop with you.